Welcome back to Frog Radio. Today we're going to talk with Chris McKenna. He is a pastor at Cornerstone Church here in West Michigan. He has spent several years researching apps and dangers lurking on portable and internet devices, helping America protect our kids. And before we go, we're going to get to him. We're going to do a little brief introduction of Radio Dad. And we will, when we come back, we'll get right into our interview with Pastor Chris McKenna. If you're looking for another radio podcast to listen to, go to radiodad.com. It's all about dads, and it's one of the best podcasts you'll ever listen to for dads. It's about dad entrepreneurs, and it's about everything about dads. And he also has on there too some stories that people told about their dads as well. So if you're looking for something great to listen to when you're running, jogging, or whatever it may be, go to radiodad.com. Hi, welcome back to the show. Again, like I said in the beginning, we are talking with Pastor Chris McKenna, who has spent several years researching apps and dangers on portable internet devices. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Glad to be here.
Now, I followed you on Facebook. Obviously, we attend Cornerstone Church, and I appreciate this opportunity to have you on the podcast today. And you've done great things for our kids, and I greatly appreciate it. And I thank you again for allowing your expertise and doing all the research that you've done, to help protect our kids. Now, can you tell me a little bit how all this started? I mean, you recently started a website called Protect Your Eyes, or protectyoungeyes.com, and we'll get to more of that at the end. We'll tell our audience where you can go to that again as well at the end. So could you tell a little bit more about how this all started?
Yeah, sure. It was about a year ago. A friend of mine lived in the neighborhood with me. Her kids attend a local Christian school, and she said, hey, I know you're a youth pastor. My parent group that I'm with, we have a lot of questions about our kids who are entering into middle school and how to use the internet well, and would you be interested in doing a presentation at our school? And I said, sure, I'll do a little bit of research and pull some things together. And what I discovered is I thought I knew a lot more than I actually did, because when it comes to the different apps that kids use, all the different ways they could be exploited, used well or poorly, and the different devices that kids use, it's a lot of information.
Right. And
so I started spending hours and hours and hours pulling together information for parents, because I guess I had the feeling that parents, they know that the internet has, risk and so forth. They just don't have an opportunity, or don't have time really to do the research themselves. And many times what parents did is they gave their kid a phone because they wanted to stay in touch with them. Parents today are more protective than ever, but what they inadvertently did by giving their kids a phone so they could keep track of them and they could text them after practice and get a hold of them whenever they wanted, was they inadvertently put what years ago would have been considered a supercomputer in their hands, right, which gives them all kinds of access. Yeah. And so what I developed was this document. It started off as this, kind of document that I kept adding information to, that I did a presentation, I would give it out to parents, I started a little Facebook group, and this document just kind of grew and grew. That Facebook group grew and grew. Wood TV8 did a segment on download dangers this past February, focusing on the app Kick. They got a hold of my name, did an interview that made everything grow more, and it just kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, I got to get this information out there more accessible. And so I created the website protectyoungeyes.com, which has strategies for keeping kids safe, app profiles for all the apps that kids use, how you can monitor them, if you can or can't monitor them, and what that does in terms of risk. A little quiz for parents to take. It takes about 30 seconds to figure out whether or not you have internet risks in your home. And then for all the different devices that kids use, whether it's Chromebooks, Xbox, Kindle, PlayStation, iPhone, iPad, iPod, Android, whatever it might be, step by step, how parents can use parental controls to filter things out and also monitor internet activity so they can have conversations with their kids on how they're using the internet.
Right. Now, also on the website as well, you have, several sections, like you had mentioned, that you can go to, to learn about a lot of these things, like, cyberbullying, and pornography, and predators, and also how this affects the kids, like how it damaged. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. How it can damage their reputations and and stuff like that. Can you, for the audience, can you just kind of give a little
Sure.
description of each one, how each one can affect kids, so
Yeah.
when they go there and they can even learn more when they go to the site as well?
Yeah, sure. So, obviously, the internet. Let me phrase it this way: the issues that kids deal with today are not new issues. Bullying is not a new issue. It goes way back into Old Testament times.
Right.
Looking at things that you should look at is not a new issue. So these issues aren't new. It's just that the internet provides new doorways into these issues, and it provides access, anonymity, and they're affordable in terms of pornography in a way that it wasn't when I was a kid. Everything cost something when I was a kid that I shouldn't be looking at, so that was prohibitive. Or if I was going to bully a kid, I'd have to do it face to face or over the phone, and there were all kinds of human elements that would cause me to wimp out before I'd actually do it. Well, none of those things exist anymore, and so parents have to appreciate that an issue like bullying, cyberbullying, right? It's real, and there are certain apps that cause that issue to, be a greater temptation for kids, or easier, meaning there are certain apps where it used to be when I went home, bullying would stop, right? If I wasn't in touch with the kids, but now
Right.
apps and the internet can allow bullying to go on 24/7, and there are certain apps that enable that sort of cruelty among kids, and so you just need to be aware of that.
Right.
Pornography is not a new issue at all. It's just that with the internet, it becomes so much more accessible, affordable. Kids can do it in the quiet of their bedrooms at
Right.
night when no one is watching, in
Right.
a way that it wasn't available when I was a kid.
Yeah, either would I either. I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah,
more
so-
it's more of a danger now than it is, back when we went to school, 'Cause
Well, when I tell a statistic, I use a lot of statistics in the presentations that I give at schools and churches, and tell a lot of stories, real life stories of kids. And one of the statistics I share is that by most estimates, that about 30% of the internet is pornographic.
Right.
And so if you're giving your children unfiltered access to the internet, to put that in perspective, that'd be no different than when I was a kid, my dad putting 10 magazines on the table, 3 of them being pornographic, 7 of them not, and just hoping I don't look at the wrong one.
Right.
So you have to filter the internet, because most of the times for young kids, and I focus on kids that are from ages about, for parents who have kids ages 2 to 14, those are the training years for the internet. At some point, they got to learn how to use it themselves, but we have to train our kids how to use it. And during that time frame, most of the exposures to internet, things that are inappropriate on the internet, are either accidental or through a friend.
Right.
It's, there are some kids who intentionally go out and look for things, but I think that is the minority of exposures. It's usually accidental. I looked for something on YouTube and I got things I didn't intend to get, or I searched for a word on Google or Yahoo or Bing and I got images I didn't intend to get.
Right.
Or a friend who maybe has an older sibling who knows things that you shouldn't, and they start looking for words and you find out things that way.
Right.
That's, to me, what happens more often, and so we have to have controls around those things. You mentioned predators, and again, adults who want to do things inappropriate with children is not a new issue. It's been around for centuries. It's just that the internet affords them greater access to our children than ever. It's not just the front door that has to be locked, but the internet has to be viewed as a doorway into our home. And are those doors locked? If not, then predators have more access to our kids than maybe we realize, again, through certain apps that enable them to contact our kids, have conversations, and before you know it, what a girl thought was a 17-year-old boy is actually a 50-year-old man impersonating a 17-year-old boy, and all kinds of, terrible things can happen there. And of course, from all of that, kids just have to be aware of what that does to their own hearts, their own reputations, when bad things happen online. What do other kids think about them? Those are things that are not recovered quickly. One click, one message, one statement can ruin a kid's reputation.
Right.
And so the internet makes it way too easy to do that. And what really only takes 1 second to undo can take years in order to redo in terms of a reputation. So
right. Now, about getting back a little bit too about pornography and the predators. Now, is there there's sometimes certain, you mentioned certain browsers. I know sometimes when you download something to, I don't know, say for instance a game or something, you found online and you want to download it. Does sometimes some of that pornography stuff come over with, that type of stuff too, with the game? And then you go and click on it or something, or, a window might pop up and you see a picture of some naked woman or guy on the, in the pop-up window or something,
Well, I think some of that happens. I don't think that is most often how kids are exposed to internet pornography. I think, like I had said before,
it's more searching.
It's more searching, and it's through their devices. I don't think there are a lot of kids that are doing, it still happens, but there aren't as many kids doing inappropriate things on mom or dad's computer or laptop as there are kids who are at risk using their iPod. Usually the progression goes like this. They get an iPod towards the end of elementary school, or earlier on they were using a tablet that the family shared, which then became maybe a Kindle that they got for their birthday, which is now kind of theirs, which then is, well, now I want an iPod so that I can be texting with my friends. And then that turns into, well, now I want an iPhone so that I can be making phone calls. That's, I would say, a pretty normal progression from elementary up to middle school for how kids use electronics.
Right.
On those devices, what needs to be more heavily controlled is what they are downloading through the App Store. So one of the things that I tell parents is that no kids under high school age should have free reign to download apps from the App Store. There are 1.3 million apps out there, and a lot of them are junk. So every time a kid wants to download something, they should have to bring the device to mom or dad, because what that does, it gives mom and dad a chance to see what they're downloading, plus it gives mom and dad a chance to have a conversation. Hey, why do you want to download that? Okay, cool, let's talk about it, or how are we going to control that? Right. Everything always has to come back to conversation, so that you know why they're doing it, make kids know that parents are involved, and I think that mitigates a lot of bad behavior. Yeah,
like you mentioned, about having your kids come and talk to you. I've had my, I have 3 kids of my own, and I have, have a pair of twins, who are in middle school now, and there's been many times where, we got information, from your Facebook page too, and about certain apps, and I've gone right to them and said, look, why do you need to have this? These are the, I tell them about the dangers as well. It's like, I want you to delete it off your phone. You don't need it. There's high risks, and it's just, we need to protect our kids, and if we don't do it, they're going